Hello, welcome to Speech Talk Live. This is episode number 47. My name is Jay Oza. I'm the host of the show, and my co-host is Julie Wu Finkelstein. Uh, Thank you if you're watching this live. Otherwise, thank you for watching this on a recording. We really appreciate it. And Julie and I are both mentors for the Coursera's excellent course on public speaking called Introduction to Public Speaking. And this is our way to help the students who are taking the course, because it's a self-paced course. So a lot of times the students don't get to interact with the instructor, and they're pretty much on their own. So this is sort of our way to stay in touch with the students, so they feel like there's somebody there that is kind of monitoring what's going on in the course. Now, it's hard to provide one-on-one support. We do ask occasionally people if they have a speech to give that we can kind of coach them on the show, and we have to do it on the show. Otherwise, we're volunteers. So if you have an important speech that you have to give, because I see this when I review the introductory speech, that many of the people who take the course are taking it because they have a speech to give in a month or so. And I always, when I do the review, I said, listen, we're available to help you, provided that you're willing to come on the show and be open to us recording it. So it only helps you, but it also helps others. And a lot of people then back out of it as soon as I say that. So basically what happens is that Julie and I essentially coach each other on our speeches. So that's what we do. So the reason we do this is simple. We like to, we don't like to consider ourselves experts. We're just like you. We may be a little bit ahead. We like to learn about this skill. It's a really difficult skill, and it's a lifelong pursuit. Also, as I said, we've taken this course. I've taken this number of times, and Julie has also done that. And we've been doing this now for a year. So I think we are a little bit ahead as far as speaking in front of camera, recording a lot of speeches. So we like to teach people so that you don't have to repeat a lot of things that we had to go through. And also there's a fear component. The third thing is coach. If you have a speech, we coach each other, so we can certainly be happy to coach you if you're willing to work with us. And the fourth thing is we like to practice, because part of speaking is not just to teach, but you also have to do it. We also want to become better at it. And the last one is to support. Speaking is hard, and this is the place where, you can't do anything wrong. We're here to support you so that before you go out in the real world and give a speech. So that's what we try to do. And today, I think Julie and I have put in a lot of effort in this program. The first segment is sort of a practice. And this is sort of my way of practicing humor. And it's something that a lot of people don't practice, and then they totally make a fool out of themselves. So my recording this segment, the videos that are included with this, is to show that humor is hard. And as you can see, I made an attempt, and I didn't go through that many iterations, so this is kind of raw. But it just goes to show that to get humor down, there are so many parts of it that have to come together to pull it off. And maybe I'll get some feedback from Julie, but I don't expect any good feedback because I'm not a comedian. But hey, listen, you have to work. This is part of the practice. It can't all be good all the time. The second segment, you'll see the hard work that Julie has put in with her poses, and she will eventually turn this into a course. So right now, she just wants to record these poses, one pose at a time, and get it out there and get the feedback. So it's sort of like her doing it and also trying to get feedback so she can make it better. And eventually, when she completes all 12 of it, what I'm recommending to her is take it and turn it into a course, get a professional videographer, and do it, because I think she's giving a lot of valuable information there. But it's also for you to understand this is what the process looks like. And the last one, I look into this method. I call it the Chuck Schumer method. He's a senator from New York, and he's very effective in working with the media. So I captured some of the things that he does so well that we could all learn from. So that's the show for today. And at this point, I will kind of use my 90 seconds on a particular thing that I wanted to bring up. And one thing I want to bring up is we all found out here in the United States that Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. And look, whether you like him or not, you have to give the guy a lot of credit. You know, he put himself out there, and he's not a career politician. He went directly to the people, and he got the most votes, and now he is going to be the nominee. You don't have to vote for him, you don't have to like him, but you have to respect his perseverance, his taking the risk, putting himself out there, and winning. I mean, that's a fact. That's not something you can argue about. He did it. He beat some real established politician. And I recorded a video where I will include in the description section. Why did he win? And what I came across was there are three things that he did that were effective. Now, I'm not going to go into detail since I already have a video. The first thing he did was a strategy, and his strategy was very simple. That was that he had a nice slogan, "Make America Great Again." The second is he addressed a problem that a lot of people out there felt strongly about, but nobody was saying it the way he was, which was the immigration. And the third one, it's not just identifying the problem. He had a solution, which was a very simple solution to build the wall, and it resonated with the people. Now you might say, well, wait a second, that's too simplistic. Hey, it worked. You got to give him hats off to him. That worked for him. Then his tactics. So there's a strategy part and there's a tactics. Tactics, I think, is what made the difference here. Donald Trump really knows how to communicate. And he's very good with communicating to masses. In rallies that you've seen, he gets the most number of people, 20, 30,000. Second is he's very good with the media. This is a skill that he has honed over the years ever since I can remember the 80s. And he knows how to deal with the media. In fact, I think he knows most of them, especially in the New York area. Third thing that I think he kind of really separated himself, and I've never seen this done by any politicians in the past, is his constant use of social media, the Twitter especially. So he's constantly in the news all the time, and that's the modern way of communicating now. What Donald Trump has shown is how you win today, whether you are in business, whether you're a CEO, or whether you're a politician. You need these three things. And the fourth thing I think is kind of unique to him. He really used trash talk, and that may change things, like how to get attention. And trash talking does work, and we'll see if that works, helps him become the president. But that fourth component certainly helped. And then the last thing, so we talked about strategy, tactics, and the last thing is timing. And you can do everything right, but if the timing isn't on your side, then you can't win. And timing was on his side, and he won. So I have a video that goes into this in more detail, and I will include that so you can take a look at it and see what you think. And maybe we can discuss it if you're willing to come on the show. So at this point, I would like to turn it over to Julie to introduce herself, and then we'll get started with our program. All right, Julie, take it over.
Okay, good morning, Jay. Thank you so much. My name is Julie Wu Finkelstein, and as Jay mentions, I'm a mentor on the Coursera program. I'm writing a book to 12 simple poses for vitality and energy. And my basic, and I work with people, I help people to live happy lives and succeeding, because I think to manifest whatever you have inside you is part of our way to be happy and to be sharing. So today I want to take my 90 seconds to talk about the three things we've always talked about and make a triangle out of it. And that is linking the three practices together. The one is setting goals. The second one is practicing. And the third one is I call it checkpointing. If you're doing a marathon, you need to checkpoint where you are at, and you need to prepare. And to me, preparing and working at it is the practicing. It's pretty clear that there was in the 70s there was a study by Harvard graduates. There were three groups of people. One group wrote down their goals, another group talked about their goals, and the third group didn't do anything with the group goals at all. I think after 5 or 10 years, the people who had goals but didn't write them down they made twice as much as the people who didn't work with goals at all. But the people who wrote down their goals, they make 10 times as much as the other two groups combined. So it's very important to have goals. It's kind of like you got to know what you're aiming for. The second thing is practicing, and I'm going to be doing a segment, a speech here on practicing. You got to practice your goals. You got to work at it. And I use the word practice and progress, not perfection. It's most of us hate to fail, but it's really about practicing. And finally, I'm adding this third thing to all the people I coach, is to do a feedback, a checkpoint. And I think Jay started that with the our speech goals. And I just realized that sometimes I have relationships with people for years, helping them, and they helping me. But we kind of just stream along. And I think that having some checkpoints, I'm going to make them quarterly, will really help stay on track. So those are the three goals, and I want to talk about it. And I think hopefully I'll get a course or a video out of this idea. Thank you.
Yeah, Julie, those are excellent points. I think the last one, what you're saying, is assessment, right? Like any kind of relationship that you have to assess it like on a quarterly basis or 6 months. Otherwise, even and this doesn't apply to like what we're doing on the show, because we do our assessment. I think the next assessment we're doing is when we get to our 52nd show. Any relationship, if you're not assessing it on a quarterly periodic basis, let's say quarterly is the right way to do it, since that's monthly is maybe too quick. Any relationship will get stale, whether it's a business relationship or even marriage, right? Marriage, it's a relationship, friendship, because at some point you need to know whether that friendship is going. Otherwise, you just kind of plod along, like you said, and it's pretty much a dead relationship, because the relationship has to be alive. There has to be something that you're both getting, and it doesn't hurt to have that discussion on a periodic basis. Like, where's our relationship? What are we doing? What do we want to do? How do we take it to the next level? And to be honest with you, I don't do that much except on this show. I've only done this with you, actually. Nobody else I've really done it with. I don't go to I do it with my son, actually. But he's 14 years old, so that's a little different. But I do it with him. I don't do it with my daughter. And with my wife, I don't think I've actually say, honey, let's go to dinner and talk about where we are in our marriage after like close to 25 years. I think I should do that. That's a good idea. So thanks for bringing it up. The other two things you mentioned there were goals. That's an interesting topic. In fact, I do include that in my book. And there are two sides of goals, because a lot of people talk about goals, and I think GE tried that, and they call it, there's a technique out there called SMART goals, right? SMART, that's the acronym. But then they found out that people were gaming the system. There was no stretch going on. People tend to say, oh, I did my goal. They keep it simple and they meet it. And then they came up with that goal sometimes wasn't helping the companies, or even you need also to come up with stretch goals. You take it beyond that. So there's a short term and a long term. So that's what the goals are. And I agree with you, practicing. If you're not practicing, then you just can't improve. And that in itself is a topic in how do you practice? Because there's a book that just came out by the guy, Anders Ericsson. Remember, he's the guy with the fame 10,000 hours. And he just came out with a book called Peak. And he talks about that. And I think that other guy, Coyle, he had talked about the deliberate practicing, but that information came from this research that Anders Ericsson did. So thanks for bringing those topics up. And I agree with you, the checkpointing, you do need to get feedback. So all the 3 points you're raising in itself are a topic to go into it in much detail. Because feedback is very important, but it's hard to get good feedback. So that in itself, these are kind of the reason I'm spending some time on talking about this, because all these things that you mentioned, I bring it up in my book, because it's part of how you become a better speaker. So thanks for bringing that up, Julie. And if you don't have any comments, I'm going to take a brief pause and introduce our first segment. Okay, thanks. Okay, welcome to Speech Talk Live, episode number 47. My name is Jay Oza. I'm the host, and my co-host is Julie Wu Finkelstein. And this first segment, I did put in quite a work, and the purpose of this segment was practicing. And this is something that Julie just mentioned in her insight part of her introduction that she just did. And practicing is very important, whether anything you do, and especially when it comes to public speaking. A lot of people do not practice. And what I did was I took a scenario, and the scenario that I used was I want to practice humor and comedy. Not that I go out and become a stand-up comedian, but just so that I am able to connect with the audience. There is nothing that helps you connect with the audience better than you using humor. Humor just lightens up the mood, and what it does is it allows the people to start rooting for you. They start liking you. They can relate to you. And the main thing I'm trying to get is that they start paying attention to you. Because humor is one of those things that just kind of touches the nerve. If you use a good humor, people start thinking like, hey, I like this guy. Hey, I think this guy knows what he's talking about. I think this guy can teach me something. And that's the feeling that I want to create. So do not diminish the importance of humor. And I don't think it's a good idea to say, well, I'm just not funny. I think everybody is funny. I just think that people don't practice trying to be funny. And being funny isn't easy. There's a lot of creativity required. You got to be, you got to, just like anything, like, I'm just not a good speaker. I just can't pull this off. I think you can pull anything off if you're willing to put in the time. So what I did in this particular two videos is the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I kind of pretended that somehow they couldn't find anybody. Remember that movie King Ralph, where everybody dies and he's left and becomes the king? So I was sort of like the comedian Ralph here. They couldn't find any comedian. I was the last so-called comedian, and I wasn't even a comedian. They brought me up and saying, hey, can you give a speech at the White House Correspondents' Dinner? So I didn't set that up properly, but that's what I was trying to get to, that they really couldn't afford it, or they just couldn't find anybody, and they finally gave me a call, and I said, I'll do it. So I kind of set up a stage, explained what I'm trying to do there. And it's sort of, it's a tongue-in-cheek thing. It's not anything serious. It's a comedy, right? And it's just sort of my way of coming up with the material and practicing. And I think this was the one that that I included, the video. That was my third take. So I didn't put in a lot of time into this to get the timing right, to get a lot of the things right. Typically, if this was done by a real comedian, he probably would have gone through that material probably close to 50 times. And he would have had a lot of feedback from a lot of different people. He may even had professional writers actually help them with the material. In this one, what you'll see is it's just one-man effort. No coaching, nothing. The only type of feedback I'm going to get is what I'm going to get from Julie right now. So, but my main point here is that this is the kind of thing you'll have to do. Do it, find somebody like Julie who can give you good feedback and start practicing. So Julie, I'll turn it over to you, and you'll get to give me the feedback whether did you laugh at all, or you were like, this is so bad, I better turn it off.
Oh no, it wasn't bad at all. It was very creative. I really appreciate that you made two segments, and the first one kind of set me up, and I like that, and I like the you know, how you underscore that this is almost like, what do you call it? Mock role playing. It's a kind of role playing to exercise an area that you think is important. I think that's a great thing to do. I'm not sure how to take it into my life, but I would. So just in terms of constructive feedback, I thought your joke about outsourcing was very memorable and funny, because, you know, you're Indian. And I would have liked you to really, well, one of the things about humor, and humor is a point of exaggeration, right? So I would really like you to maybe exaggerate that. I was in Bombay having a great time with a family wedding, and man, they really wanted me to do this. And I know it's because I'm cheap. You know, when you outsource, you save money. Just like really loaded it on. I think that would have been really funny. Um, Similarly, I thought that golf and divorce was very funny. And I will again kind of exaggerate it, but also, you know, what you said about Schussler's work, personalizing it. And you kind of started doing that. You say, like, well, you know, you say American man would get divorced for that, but you're the president, you have perfect excuse. And man, you can also get the lessons. And not only that, when I was playing, you know, when I play golf, I gotta really chalk it up and, you know, own it to my wife. So take this chance, become a really good golf player. So I'm using two examples to underscore, like, what you said, you know, the Schuster show is personalize it. And I think there's two aspects to personalizing. Personalizing it for the audience, like put a scenario into their life, and then personalizing it for yourself as the speaker, because that's how the bond is created. And I think there's two other little points. Is I don't think you address the president by name when you first started the speech, because I wasn't sure which president you were talking about until I heard Clinton. Then I like, okay, it has to be Obama. Oh, of course, when you say Michelle says get your bony ass out, that kind of underscored it too. Overall, just a great job. I can see that there's a lot of like really good material already. Like I said, the outsourcing one, the golfing, and the relationships of marriages and all that. So I actually congratulate you.
Thanks a lot, Julie. Yeah, again, remember, this was just sort of my own feedback, so I never had the opportunity to do it again. If it was something I was really doing it for a live audience, then I would have gone through more iterations. So this was something I kind of put together quickly. I said, I better do it pretty quickly before I forget, because this material will get stale and then it won't have any impact. The one that and it's hard because when you're doing a camera, you don't have the audience, you don't get any kind of reaction. So you're trying to kind of create that whole feeling, like you got to pretend. It's a complete pretending, right? Like I have to pretend that there's a president sitting next to me. Then I have to pretend that there is a huge audience there. And it actually, after the first time I did it, I actually couldn't finish it. I ended up stopping, and then I said, okay, I'm going to have to do it again. And then I said, I have to really rethink it. What am I exactly trying to do? So then I had to look at the material more closely. And what I realized is that in comedy, when you're practicing, even like I realized, because with speech, it's much easier because I've been doing it for quite some time now. But with comedy, you completely depend on the audience. With speech, you do actually depend on the audience, but somehow I think you and I have gotten better at speaking in front of the camera. We are trying to create that atmosphere, pretending like there is an audience there. But with comedy, it's not that easy. And because like I said, you reacted, there are certain jokes you reacted immediately, and some jokes you will not react to immediately. And I can see doing that some of these comedians who do the White House Correspondents' Dinner, I see the problem they get into, because certain jokes just doesn't work with that particular audience. And the reason I did this was because I think the jokes that I used were not the jokes that the comedian used. These were all original. If you notice, if you watch that guy Larry Wilmore, he did not use I did not copy any of his jokes at all. These were all pretty much my own jokes. So I'm not copying somebody's material. And then, because if I did that, I had to give credit to it. But I did not use, because the thing about, which there were a lot of low-hanging fruit that he missed completely. The one that he missed completely was the thing that I said about, which I thought was right there. I don't know why he didn't take advantage of it. Because remember, this is the people that are journalists like CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News. And if you notice it, there is a real butt-kissing contest going on regarding, who can do that job the best when it comes to Donald Trump. He completely missed that. That was right there. And there were a lot of things. And my point in this is that this is how you have to think about it. Like every day, is there a humor in here? Is there a humor in here? Because humor to me is creativity, because you're trying to take two concepts, like you said, exaggeration, and making somebody understand it, and they get a little chuckle out of that. And that is so important in a speech. And the reason you have to do it is because it's not that easy to pull it off. And the worst thing to do using humor is to do it bad. And you don't want to do that. So humor is very important. And I'm going to keep doing that more and more, I think, because I want to get good at it. Not that I want to become hey, you never know, right? But my intention is not that I want to become a stand-up comedian. But if I find humor in something, I want to bring it into a speech. And same thing with telling stories. All these things have to be practiced, because the content sometimes is really only 10%. There could be a simple things like like we'll see in the next, the third segment, the content isn't that much, but it's how you set it up. And the part that Michael Port says this real well is that performance part, that when you're giving a speech, you are performing, and audience is keying on that. You got to put on a performance. And that's the part that a lot of speakers don't practice on. And that's something that you've been doing it really well now with your videos. So I think that you're getting the hang of that. When you're getting in front of a camera, you have to perform. Otherwise, people out there are going to get bored. And that's not the purpose of doing a video or giving a speech. So Julie, any closing thoughts before we move on to the next segment?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mute. Great job. Very nice. Another innovation by Jay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And this was a risk taking. So one of the things I want to point out is this is something I'm kind of out of my comfort zone. And that's the whole point that I'm trying to impress you upon, that you got to get out of your comfort zone. As you can see, that humor is something where if you're not a comedian, you're getting out of your comfort zone. So I would like to use this as a way to encourage you to do more of that. Okay, so at this point, we're going to take a brief pause and move on to our second segment. Okay, welcome back to Speech Talk Live, episode number 47. My name is Jay Oza. I'm the host of this show, and my co-host is Julie Wu Finkelstein. In this second segment, we're going to continue this video series, video recordings that Julie has been doing now for the past several weeks. And she's currently working on a book on these 12 poses, simple poses that anybody can use, learn, and use it immediately. These are not difficult poses. And the whole point is that these are sufficient for most of us, unless you want to get into some real advanced stuff. And can help energize you, make you focus, think, become more flexible, stable, all sorts of things that she will go into. And each week she's been discussing and demonstrating the 2Ds, the different poses. And this is also, so there are two things that she's trying to achieve. One is to teach us about these poses, but second is also she wants to get better at recording these so that her message and the poses come through clearly so that we start doing it. So that's her real intention here. So at this point, I will I'll turn it over to Julie to describe the two videos that she's recorded and what she's trying to achieve with these the series of videos that she's been doing now for the last several weeks. So Julie, why don't you take it over?
Yes, thank you, Jay. And I would make sure I have leave time for your feedback. Yes, I am writing a book called 12 Simple Poses, and I'm still working on the title, as you know. Right now it's for energy and vitality. These stretches works on the body-mind principle, and it's actually a very deep process. It's a combination of from east and west. From the east side, there's a Zen practice integrated into it, and also the martial arts and the martial arts healing, both from the Japanese side. And it's out of the school in Hawaii called Chozanji. And I will go more into that detail of that into my book. On the western side, it's Ida Rolf, who is works on she was a professor of biochemist, and she worked on both the chemical level and the connective tissue level of the body and the relationship to gravitational forces. And Moshe Feldenkrais, who is a genius in his own right, PhD, atomic physicist. He actually carried the heavy water from Germany to England, and that's how we were able to build the bomb. And many others that kind of merged together in this guy called Dub, and then I learned it from Dub's student, Everett Ogawa. And these stretches, because they work on both the energy level, relationship to gravity, and also the physiologies of our deep structures, our connective tissues, they're very simple, but they're very powerful. And my goal is to share this knowledge with the world, because I think it's so useful and powerful. And one of my challenges, as you know, is, Jay, when I first started doing video talks, I was okay when I'm talking to a real person such as you, even on the other screen. But when I'm at a blank screen, it was very hard for me to imagine I'm talking to a real people. So I think one of the things that I have overcome is this inability to know that I'm talking to people. So I am much more comfortable, and I'm actually much more comfortable at organizing the information. And I'm pretty good at writing now, and this was an associated skill. So as I always say to you, the sandwich technique is important. Is tell people what you're going to tell them all the gory details, and then tell them what you told them, and then I add your piece of always have you say action, ask for something, I always say the next steps. It's similar. And so, at this point, I'm ready to turn the stretches itself. This one is called the pigeon. No, this one's called the Udiana. So now the whole body's opened up. And with the Udiana one is actually cleansing the deeper valleys. And also it puts energy into our bodies, literally, through breath and meditation. And what they call bandhas, which is actually like a dam. We're locking our body so the energies go in and penetrate into our body cells. So with that, I will turn it over to you. Thank you, Jay.
Oh, okay, Julie, thanks a lot. And again, thanks for all the hard work that you put in. This was, I think, was your third. You do three, like I think this was your
three. That was your suggestion, the magic of three.
Three. Yeah. No, I think after three, after three, then it's, unless you're really going to give it a speech, it doesn't get that much better, because you already did one, you did two, and that's what I did. Mine. After third, I usually want to stop there, because then you need to get a feedback before you continue doing more. So I don't want you to do more than three, because for what we're doing, three is enough. And then if you're going to give it, then get a feedback and then do another one after that. So that's what I would recommend. I think you did an excellent job here. I think you're getting the hang of how to, you look very comfortable. The tone was just about right, as far as you weren't rushing through anything. I mean, the camera part of it, that's what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. Eventually, when you actually do it for a real course, you won't have to worry about those things. And you could even slow it down further. I think something I suggested, that once you decide to turn this into a course, you want to slow it down a little bit more, because these are all relaxing poses, and then maybe have a nice soft music playing in the background and all of that. And that creates that atmosphere, so that people, because sometimes these poses are there to get people relaxed. And if your voice and the way you are moving, your gestures are not that relaxing, then people think like, my God, these poses, are they really going to help me relax or not? And I think in these two videos, I think you did that really well. You had the right type of the pacing. you covered everything, and just the description was excellent. The actual getting people to, like, one thing we had discussed is to let them know that these poses, they need to check with their medical professional before they do it. So you're not telling them to just do it, that these poses, even though they look simple, but you should get it checked out first, because you don't want to get somebody hurt if they're not doing it right, since you're not there physically to help to coach them. So I thought that was excellent. And then when you actually, the way you described it into three parts, the posture, that part that you always say, I don't know how to really spell that. Seisa, that's a Japanese pose that you talk about. Seisa, where you sit on your, I think on your knees. Seisa, I'd have to find out how do you spell that. Then the cleansing part that you showed, where you, that's actually can be difficult. I used to do that. In fact, I should, after watching you, I think I'm going to start doing it. But one thing I always remember reading the yoga books, they always advised you to do that in the morning with an empty stomach, because you don't want, like you mentioned in your thing, that you said like 2 hours. But from what I remember is that that's a type of pose, and that's actually a tricky pose. You got to really get somebody to show you how to do it, because otherwise you could hurt yourself. And early morning is like the best time to do that. And then the last one was the energy collection that you did, holding your breath and all that. So that was really well explained. I really don't have anything to point to here that you could have done better, except the camera part of it, which we have already discussed. And that one is something that there's not much you can do about it right now. But I don't know whether you feel like, I mean, I should ask you, like, from your perspective, you've seen this. This was the third time you recorded. What did you feel like after you did it? Did this look any different or feel any different from the previous ones that you've recorded? I mean, as far as the pose, or you feel like now that you're getting the hang of it, that you don't feel like you need to rush through it, you can get your point across, and at the same time, you know, be comfortable doing that. So I just want to turn it back to you. What is your feeling? Because at the end, it all depends on how you feel when you're recording these videos.
Yeah, I'll just take a minute. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your feedback. Yeah, in the last 2 or 3, I started writing it, doing like a 1-page synopsis. And I think that actually helped me feel more organized, you know, because I'm actually using a different modalities. I'm using my hands and my eyes. And then I also haven't done that in the past, just because there's so much energy in my brain. I started to do 2 things. Is I do 2 hacks, and then sometimes I do 1, sometimes I do 2, but I always rest overnight before I do, you know, the last hack. So somewhere between the 1, 2, and 3, I let it rest in my brain overnight, and I think that makes a huge difference. And the third one is I conscientiously watch my videos before I do my next one. So that's almost like a warm-up for me. So those are the 3 recent changes I think that's been really helping.
Yeah, that's you made a good point there, which I forgot to mention, is that the ones that you were doing in the beginning, you used to have the card and you were reading that.
Right.
And I think one of the things I suggested is that internalize it, because these are the poses that if you're teaching them, you can't be reading. Otherwise, people think like, does she really know what she's talking about? Yeah, so now once you remove that completely, and that's a big step, okay? People think like, oh, that's a minor thing, because now you're completely willing to say, and what that also does is that you're able to simplify it, because sometimes when you have things written, it's too scripted, you don't tend to use simple words. And now once you remove that, the words become a lot simpler, and you know whether you're connecting or not. It's coming right from your heart. It's not coming from the paper to your, you know, go through your brain and then coming out of your mouth. So I think when it just comes out of your head without reading it, it's coming right from you. And that connects with people. So I think by doing that alone has made a big difference. And I want to congratulate you for taking that risk, because a lot of people are not willing to do that. So you did that. So that's a big step. Once you take care of that, then, like you said, you are doing that free speaking, where the first time you just want to take it and just finish it, not looking to change anything. Just say, okay, this is what I know. I'm just going to do free speaking, let it go for how long it takes. Then go back and saying, what do I need to tweak? And that's exactly what I do. Exactly. That's the speech hack right there. And then on the second one, see if I can say something a little better. But I always work from the outline, right? The outline is the key thing. And then you already know the material. Since you already seen it once, you can decide what you need to take out and what you need to put in. What should you emphasize more? And sometimes something as simple as taking a little pause makes a big difference in how you come across. So I think you made a tremendous improvement if you look at your first video that you did compared to this one. And now it's just going to be little things here, little things there that most people are not going to see it. I may see it because I've been seeing you in Crete, but the good thing to do, one of the things I would suggest you do is take a look at the first one you did and compare it with this one. That will give you a very good idea on the improvement you have made, and you need to see that. And I think what you just mentioned, now what you need to do is saying, okay, I have now got it to this level. How do I make it even better? What do I need to do? Where should I take strategic pauses? How do I repeat something to make sure that people really get this main thing that I want them to know? Those are things that you just have to do it through practice. And those are like minor things that you're just going to have to work on. But overall, I think you're pretty much there now. So I just think that you finally found a method that works. And you're going to start having fun now. In the beginning, I know it was tough because you're trying to see whether I'm doing this right, that right, and you're thinking too much. Now it's gotten to the point where you've done quite a few of these that it should start becoming more natural. And you know that this is the method I'm using, the process that's working, and I'm just going to do it. And then, so on the first recording, you're going to be almost, I would say, 80 to 90% there. Then the question is, how much more do you have to do to increase it by another 10%? Not saying it's going to be perfect. Nothing is ever perfect. But you're going to get close to 80 to 90% on the third recording. And that's not a bad place to be, because 100% is really hard, because, I don't like to go for that perfect. Otherwise, you'd be recording it. But after the third one, there's not that much you can improve. That's how I feel. That if where you are right now, after your third recording and you go for a fourth recording on your own, until you get a feedback, I don't know how much more you can improve on that. That's where the feedback comes in. And if you ask me that, oh, Jay, if I have to record the fourth one, what should I do? I would just say, you look comfortable. That's great. You didn't use notes. You're speaking directly. You're almost at 80%. The only thing I would suggest is, if you want to improve it even more, see where you can put pauses and where you need to repeat something to make sure that, and closing out saying, okay, so, and I think your closing is excellent now, and saying, okay, and this is what I want you to do. So right now, do it. Look, here's how we do it. Just encourage them to do it. Get them off their butt. That's the only thing I would say. Get people off their butt and saying, okay, even if it's one breath you take, just take one. Do me a favor. Before you turn off this video, take a deep breath like me. There should be like a one thing you should end with, like saying, okay, I know the last thing I want you to do is do it with me. Get them to do one thing before they turn off the videos. Just do this one breathing exercise with me. Just take one deep breath, and after that, we're done. Like that. So end with something like that, so that you could say that, hey, I got them to do at least this one simple thing before you ended your video.
Okay.
I just made that up on the fly. So.
Yeah.
Because that could be your signature thing, right? Like, okay, I know that there are a lot of things, but even if you do this one simple breathing thing, then I feel you achieved something. You got them to do something while they're watching it.
Mm-hmm. Great.
All right, Julie, thanks a lot again. Congratulations. It was excellent. I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to try that Uddiyana Bandha, because, like I said, in the morning I'll do like 3 or 4. How many should you do, like in the morning?
I would say start very gently. Just do like 3, using your magic number, and slowly move up to it. But like I said, with the Uddiyana Bandha, you want to make sure after you do it, you want to ground that energy, because otherwise everything's it's not that stabilizing. So we'll do some meditation or breathing and pushing it down to your belly. I know the Indian one, the collection of energy is into the solar plexus, but in the Zen traditions and in the martial arts, it's actually pushing down into the lower part of the belly. So I would say just ground yourself very clearly
Okay.
intending to ground.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Well done. Well done. And if you mute, okay, great. So at this point, we're going to take a brief pause and move on to our third and final segment. Okay, welcome back to Speech Talk Live, episode number 47. My name is Jay Oza. I am the host of this show, and my co-host is Julie Vu Finkelstein. In this third segment, we're going to look at, I guess, for no better word, call it the best practice. And the best practice comes from a famous politician, especially if you live in the New York metro area. And his name is Senator Chuck Schumer. He's been in politics, I think, his entire life, as far as I can remember, because I remember he was I think he might have been in a city council, then he became a congressman, and then a senator. I think he defeated Al D'Amato about maybe more than 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, because I think he's been around as a senator. If the Democrats get a majority, then he stands to be the next Senate majority leader. And the reason I use him is because he's really a media savvy person, and he has honed his skill over the years. So I wanted to look and see, like, what does he do? Like, if you break it down, deconstruct what he does, like, what can you learn from? And as I mentioned, I came across this issue of, I think I have it right here, the latest issue of New Yorker. They mentioned his top aide, who's now the U.S. Attorney of Southern District, Preet Bharara. And he was his aide, and he would ask him to, when he was, I think Chuck Schumer at that time was a chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and he would ask them to write down questions. And the main thing that he asked them to emphasize were the sound bites. And he knew that sound bites are very important. And this is something we talked about when we discussed the message hack. So don't diminish the importance of sound bites. Sound bites are there to get your point across, but it also makes it easier for somebody to take your point and regurgitate it as is. You're not making them think hard. And Chuck Schumer, when I read that, I said, wow, this is exactly what we're trying to do. And it works, because the next day he is kind of engineering the headlines that the media is going to use, rather than having the media think about it. And remember, when you're a senator, you are creating news. But this is something we should all be using anytime we're talking to people. We should give them the headline or give them the soundbite, rather than them having to come up with it. So the burden is on us to come up with the soundbite, and that's what Chuck Schumer was doing. And he told his aides that this is what I'm looking for, and they knew it. The second thing that I mentioned in my video that I've included with this segment is this press conference that he does on Sunday mornings, and he kind of pioneered this. And he does it Sunday morning because it's a slow news day, so he gets all the attention. And he takes some obscure topic that nobody's talking about. And I think it's very clever that we all should learn from, because Julie and I are kind of doing this by recording this video. When people don't see you on video, they don't think you're doing anything. Video today is your friend. It's your way of showing people that you're doing work. And for politicians, it's critical that if you're not in front of a video, they just think you're doing nothing. All you're doing is just partying, taking political contributors or lobbyists to dinner and just having a great time. So what Chuck Schumer does is he talks to his constituents saying, hey, look how hard I'm working on a Sunday while you guys are all either attending church or watching football game or baseball game or going to picnic. I'm working my tail off. And that's effective in my opinion. But then he does in these press conferences, whatever topic that he brings up, that's nobody's talking about, but it's very important to the people. He uses this method that I call it the Chuck Schumer media method, and it's the 4 Ps. He presents the problem, he then personalizes the problem, he presents the solution, and he personalizes the solution. So I gave an example. It's something you should always think about. Any kind of problem that or a solution you have, first look at the problem, solution, but do more. Just don't present the problem, personalize it. Don't just present the solution, personalize the solution. So problem solution isn't it. You've got to also personalize it. And that's something that he's very effective in doing. And he's been using this for a long time. And that's why I decided to record this video and include it as a segment, because I think it's effective. And he's quite famous. It works for him. And why shouldn't we use it too? So Julie, I'll turn it over to you. You probably have heard of Chuck Schumer. So what do you think?
Well, actually, I never heard of Chuck Schumer, so it was really nice. I really like the 4P idea. I think, I'm pretty good on Facebook. I'm pretty good on Google Plus and all that. But I think the thing that I haven't done is Twitter. So I'm going to challenge you. Let's work together on our Twitter for Speech Talk Live. Let's set up a Twitter account for Speech Talk Live. I think it's great. Let's see. I always like the soundbite idea. Actually, I was at a focus group meeting for the public library at our community, and we're doing some future tripping. And they said, what would you like the library to be? And I came up with something that they really liked, and that was, I want library to be my default destination. Because the default destination means if I don't know where to go, I can go to the library. If I don't know what to do, I can go to the library. And I have some people I know I can socialize there. There's always something I can do, and there's some events, and there's also resource, life skills. So they really liked it, So I think the idea of maybe that's what we should do at the end of every one of our speech for our challenge next week is a soundbite at the end of our speech. So that's it for me today. I just think it's I liked your speech. I think it was really nice, and I like it that you keep it to a certain length because I think for many of us, that's about 5, 6, 7 minutes. It's a nice amount of time. So great job, and I like the way you simplify it into 4 Ps, which is problem, personalized, solution, personalized. Great.
Yeah,
that was a sound by itself.
Right. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your feedback. Actually, I should give a reference because I didn't. I actually was reading this magazine, The New Yorker, and then I did some. I put in Google. I said, "What is the Chuck Schumer method?" And that's when I found this article on Business Insider that actually went into that the 4 Ps. So I didn't come up with this on my own. They asked one of his aides that, what's his method? He does this thing, and that's when he said that this is what he tries to do. He tries to, present the problem, personalize it, then he presents the solution, then he personalizes the solution. And I said, wow, if this is a guy who probably maybe as media savvy as Donald Trump. So I said, why can't we all do the same? Here's a guy who's always on TV, and people keep voting for him. So obviously he's quite successful. But yeah, I think the thing that you mentioned is ties into my initial statement, the insight that today, if you want to be successful, like I said, and it ties back to Donald Trump's success, that you need to be good at 3 things. You need to be good at giving a speech in front of, because I think what's happening is the thing that I think you might have mentioned once is, and something that we've been discussing is the idea of capturing people's attention. there are so many distractions out there that if you're not in the news or creating news constantly, it's almost like you don't exist. Like if you haven't heard about somebody, like for example, Prince was a big story last week, but now that's gone because there's nothing new coming out of that. So that story is old, it's done with. And one of the things that Donald Trump and Chuck Schumer really do well is that they have to be constantly in the news. You can't just hide away and saying, well, my work will eventually show up and people will get it. People don't get it. You've got to give it to them. And that's something that a lot of people are not comfortable with. They think that by just working, people will understand what you're doing. No, you got to basically, you have the mechanism to get in front of the people, give a speech. You got to be able to do that. You got to be able to do interviews, those impromptus we always talk about. And then you have to also be very social media savvy to constantly keep, people have to be fed. People want to be fed all the time, okay? I don't know what animal out there is that has to be fed all the time. We're like that. We have to be fed. If we're not fed, we get very irritated. We move on to something else. And if you don't understand how to feed the audience all the time, then you become irrelevant fairly quickly. And I remember one time, I know I'm going on a little longer, so I'm going to try to conclude this, that Jeb Bush was asked that question, and he basically was very negative towards that. He said, well, listen, you know, that's not what I do. I'm basically taking my message to the people. And he didn't quite understand it, the importance of social media. He just, he kind of didn't understand. He just poo-pooed it like, you know, this is not the way I work. And he just kind of just said, that's not my way of doing things. And I don't think that kind of attitude works anymore, where people are not there. They're not going to change for you. You got to change. And communication is a very quick way to do that. And if you're not honing the skill, you're denying yourself being successful. So, Julie, I want to thank you. Any closing thoughts on the program? Did you come up with a soundbite for this program?
Not yet. I would say, let's see, what did we say? Be funny, be remembered, be personal.
That works for me. So there it is. Be funny, be memorable, and be personal.
Maybe the other way around. Be funny, be personal, and you'll be remembered.
And you'll be remembered. There you go. There's the soundbite for the day. So, Julie, any closing thoughts on anything that we discussed that you forgot to add, or you want to add any final thoughts to anything that we discussed today?
Oh, just thank you very much. It's been great. So I hope we continue this.
Okay, so Julie, thanks a lot. And let me thank you as always. I know you've been working hard and making your videos available as a way to teach others and also as a way for you to get better at it. And this one, I think you and I both worked hard. I mean, the video on the comedy thing that I did, that took a lot of work. And I'm actually glad to do that, not only to encourage people who are watching that you need to do something similar. There are no shortcuts to becoming a good speaker. And listen, if you record it, you're the only one who's going to watch it unless you put it on YouTube. We put it on YouTube because at this point we don't care, because that's our taking a risk. And to be honest with you, unless you're like so popular, very few people are ever going to watch it. But at least you're on YouTube. Somebody may eventually find it. And so at this point, let me just close out and say that and this is the title of my book, You Are How You Speak. The good thing is that speaking is something you control. It's something you can practice. You can incrementally and iteratively improve. There is a bad news that this thing, you got to have patience. It's not you're not going to see quick results. But the main thing is that you got to just keep doing it. You got to use deliberate practice, dissect it, what's working, what's not working. You don't need to record a 30-minute video. You don't need to record even a 10-minute video. Even if a 30-second video is a good start. Start with 30 seconds. Just say something like you would if you were meeting somebody. Then move on to a minute. And I always say 3 minutes is about it. At 3 minutes, you should be able to convey your main idea to somebody. After that, you're getting into giving a formal speech. So for those who are watching this, and I know lately I've been getting a lot of emails. I've been seeing a lot of on the Coursera forum that a lot of people are watching it as the number of views have gone up quite a bit. So I want to thank you all for watching it. And if you, and I know a lot of people are stopping by and saying hello, I appreciate that. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, and like I said, if you have an important speech to give and you want to come on the show for us to coach you on the show, we'd be happy to do that. It would be a great way for you to learn, and it'd be a great way for you, using you as an example to teach others. Right now, Julie and I are kind of using each other as an example. So that's available to you. Just let us know, and we'll make that happen. So thank you, and we'll see you in the next episode, number 48. And that's the wrap for this show. Thank you. Okay, Julie, you need to take a break, or you're muted. 2 minutes? What? Okay.
Back.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Yes. So let's see. Okay. So regarding there's several things I wanted to discuss.
Okay.
One is the forward.
Yes.
The second is I need to give you an update on the book.
Okay.
The third is I need to update you on some of the things that lately I've been getting quite a few, not requests. A lot of people have been responding to the when I post this show every week on the discussion forum. This week I've been getting anything major, just like hello, reaching out. So I haven't seen that before. So I just wanted to let you know.
Excellent.
I don't know. Then there was this one other woman, and this is something I just wanted to let you know. I think her name, I forgot her name, Susan something. Susan Huntsman or something. I don't remember her name. So she had recorded a intro video, and what she has is she has a speech to give in June. So I, in the comments, when I review her speech, I said, hey, you did a good job. If you want to practice this, or if you want any kind of coaching, we'd be happy to help you. Julie and I can help you out. So she then inquired further, saying, hey, I'd like to know more about it. And I said to her, listen, we can start with you sending us a 3-minute video, but the main thing is that if we're helping you as part of this show, then you have to appear on it so that we can record it, so that it's not only helping you, but it's also helping others, because we do this as a part of our way of teaching people. We don't do it as because if you're not charging anything, then we have to put it on the show. That's the rule that we have followed.
That's good.
So
That's good.
I said, look, if it's proprietary, anything that you're giving, then it may not work. But this is how we work, because if we're going to take our time and not charge you, then you have to then it has to be on the show.
I like that. I'm going to say that.
Yeah. Otherwise, there's nothing in it for us. Otherwise you'd have to pay, and so choice is yours. I'm giving you the choice. Either you get recorded and it becomes part of the show, or we have to discuss on how much we have to discuss the financial, the payments for that, fees.
Right.
Okay, so I haven't heard back from her, so I don't know. Maybe she doesn't want to appear on the show. But that's the thing. If people are not willing to appear, they're willing to give a speech in front of people, but they're not willing to appear on the show, then I don't want to waste my time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I wrote that in the practice document. So I agree. I am adhering to that. I mean, I have to. It's not in my being, so I have to practice that. But yeah,
but in a way, you are actually helping them out more, because lately I told you that one guy who came into my office, I couldn't get rid of him because he's my dad's client, and I wasted 3 hours with him, and since then he hasn't done anything.
Right.
And I spent 3 hours with him. I used my whiteboard and explained everything, and then after that, I asked him to do something simple. So from now on, if somebody doesn't do something ahead of time, I am not wasting my time, because for me to waste
this is good. Let's go on.
Right.
I mean, I got your point. I think you're meandering. I'm helping you.
Okay. So let's get to the reason I'm saying is because you and I both get into this trap, and I need to get out of it. I'm kind of talking to myself here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I got it. Thank you.
So the forward, I need to take a look at the comments you made, and I'll update it, and then we can hash it out on Monday if you have time.
Yeah. So actually, I don't know if you can update it, because I am very unhappy with the tone of it.
Okay.
So I am suggesting that you don't update it, and we just hack it out together. At least like the first paragraph. I think there's two things happening. Let me take a look at it. I think there's several things happening, and I'm just going to be honest and blunt. So if you object, feel free to discuss it. But I'm trying to respect you. I'm trying to respect myself. Okay. So like, if you don't mind, like a lot of the facts were wrong, so that really bothered me.
Yeah, facts can be corrected.
I know,
that's not
but
the issue.
Well, it is an issue for me, because if you're going to work on it, I don't want to keep on getting wrong facts, because I change something and then you change something and then I come back and to change the facts. And sometimes I'm not even sure I want those facts included. So that's part of the problem. Is that I think you need a certain tone, and I'm not giving that tone to you, but my tone is different than yours. So that's why I suggest we work together. The second thing is, I know when I write things, it's not grammatically correct or even sentence smooth, because I'm just trying to punch down the ideas. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't trying to get so the problem is, first of all, we have different tones. The second thing is, we're not working on this process the same way. So I was trying to punch ideas for you, and you were rewriting it so it's acceptable to you. But I wasn't at that stage yet.
Right. I mean, the main thing was I was taking what you had given me and I was kind of adding more to it, right? And I can understand if certain facts were incorrect, we definitely need to get. So I wasn't. Don't tell me. I was just like, I was taking based on what I know, based on some of the feedback that I've heard and stuff. And if the tone seems a little harsh, or it just not sounds like, because I'm not good with the tone.
It's not harsh. It's
not the tone part of it.
I thought that's what you were correcting, actually. I thought you were correcting.
Because a lot of the stuff that you had given me, it seemed like they were like kind of stream of thoughts rather than
they were
well put together paragraphs. So I had to take a lot from that and put my own interpretation. So a lot of that interpretation I've been maybe too loose with the interpretation. So that's the part that you're going to have to correct. What exactly is the interpretation?
I think we have to do it together.
Yeah.
So
what I'm saying is that before we do it together, I need to make sure I get the facts right. So otherwise,
I'll just give it to you at that moment.
Because I think you already included in the comments. Because
I can give it to you.
I don't want to go into too many of the facts, because that's not the whole point. But the main part of it is there has to be some flow of like, is this leading to something, right? And that's the thing, that it doesn't have to be, because I'm trying to create a story out of this. I'm not trying to say that this is your bio. I'm not trying to, this is not supposed to be your bio. I'm supposed to try to create a story of how you got to this point, and that's the story that I'm trying to create.
Right. So I don't understand what story you're trying to create. So we have to do it together.
Well, the story is pretty simple. If the story is that if speaking was something that you were already comfortable with it, right? And then this course helping you? Is some of the method helping you? Was there any kind of transformation that has ever taken place by taking this Coursera course and working on these hacks and stuff? If that transformation is not there, then the forward wouldn't be that useful. You understand? Because the forward is supposed to be that there has been a transformation, that I can tell you that how this has helped me. That's what I'm trying to get to in the forward. And if that doesn't come through clearly, then the forward cannot just be telling that this is what this book is about. I think the forward is about transformation.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so here's the thing. The first thing it says, nothing terrifies people more than giving a speech in public. That may be true, but that's not what I want to say, okay?
Okay, to take that out, what I'm saying is that the thing that I want you to say is, what has been the transformation that you have gone through?
Okay, so this is what I think is, okay, let's just talk for a minute. How's that?
Yeah.
Let's just talk for a minute. So maybe that's what we needed to do. So the transformation for me was a couple of things, okay? One thing is I thought I was pretty good at public speaking, actually, because I did have a pretty good career. And, but I always wondered why some people who are clearly, in my opinion, in my arrogant opinion, who are like, doesn't seem to be as smart as I am or as gets the problem, they get promoted faster than I do. Okay. The second thing is,
but let me stop you right there before you get to your second thought.
Okay.
So this is the thing where I need to make sure, because you just said something right there that you thought you were pretty good. But then you were not getting promoted. So is there a cause and effect there?
Well, I'm just telling you this. I can't talk about that right now. Let's go on. Okay, I'm sorry, because you want a story, so I have a stream of becoming, right? So when the other thing that was I was really good at facilitating meetings, like in staff meetings, or I facilitated workshops, and people always came up to me and said, "This is the most amazing experience I have. I never have experiences like that." But when I got into public speaking, I could clearly see that my communication skills wasn't there, and that the skills I was lacking in public speaking actually applies to writing, and to writing a lot. So I found, and then also my body language, I thought I was coming across as confident and spontaneous, but I was actually coming across as disorganized and not together at all in these areas, okay? Because I wasn't in my area of expertise, which was IT. So the transformation for me is working with you, getting your feedback, maybe we should watch this later. It helped me become a better, it helped me to become a better public speaker, but it helped me become a better communicator and interactor, someone interacting in any situation. So the public speaking skill became a tool, a portal that opens up my communication skills, not just in speaking in public, but speaking in public in a group, speaking in a video, speaking information in interactions, and learning things like how to pace and things like that. So it became a very fundamental skill in not just public speaking, but in organizing, communicating, and even receiving information on both the public and the private sectors. So it was an over universal experience for me.
Right. So the one thing that, because I was also in the technical area, the one thing you have to be very careful is that being a good speaker in the technical arena is a lot different, because the bar isn't that high in the technical arena, especially if a lot of the tech speak in a particular place where you work is very jargon oriented. So you could be very good. A lot of people in the technical arena think like you could be a doctor and you can think like, I'm a very good speaker. Like nobody ever questions it.
No,
right?
no. I really was a very good speaker.
Right.
Because I tell you, they wanted to create a position for me as a liaison between human resources, end users, and IT, because I made IT understandable to human resources and also to the business people. And also, I was invited by many. I worked at several companies. At least 2 of them, I was invited to do recruitment because I could present the job in a way to people who don't understand it.
Right.
So I wasn't just a techie. In fact, most techies, when they first see me, they think I don't know what the shit I'm talking about, until I go toe to toe with them on a technical topic, like database design. But let's focus on the forward. Let's focus on the story.
Yeah, so that's your narrative, that you were a pretty good speaker.
I thought I was a pretty good speaker. I thought
but you just gave me some proof that according to that between HR and you were able to explain technical concepts to HR.
Yes, okay, I was a pretty good communicator, but not a public speaker.
So then you have to distinct, because you got to be careful, right? Because if you're going to say I was a pretty good communicator, but then you have to say I was not a good, because you have to be able to explain the difference between the two, that you can.
Yeah, so I'm trying to differentiate that for you. Like I was very good at facilitating workshops.
Right.
I'm very good at presenting stuff at a meeting, whether it's a user meeting.
Right.
I wasn't very good at public speaking skills.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So you feel that because I'm trying to help you. So you had So what I think what you're saying is that you were good. Okay, so let me paraphrase it if I was interpreting. So if I was reading the forward, this is what I would probably see, that you had excellent hard skills because you're a techie, and you had plenty of soft skills to be very productive at work. But the part that you felt that you thought you were good, but then you found out that perhaps you were not as good, is when it comes to specifically to public speaking.
Exactly.
That's accurate?
Yes.
Okay, so that's okay. So
and then once I go in,
but that's what the forward should then say. That
okay. And once can you just, if you can type up that sentence and send it to me? But then the whole other point is this, Jay, is once I started public speaking, I found out how important this tool is, and it improved many aspects of my communication skills even more.
Right. So the question then is that by not being a good public speaker, how do you think that affected your career? Because you were talking about promotion, that I did not get the promotion that other people were getting it. Was it simply because that they were good at that public speaking was viewed more important than some of the other skills that you had that they didn't have, but the public speaking was ranked at the top, and that's the part that made the difference in their getting promoted and you not getting promoted?
Well, I think public speaking is something that makes your talents visible.
Okay.
And because I didn't know the skills related to public speaking, the presentation skills related to public speaking, I didn't know how to present myself in a way that all my talents shine.
In a high-stakes situation, so they got visibility and you didn't.
In a high-stakes situation. And the other thing, now that we're talking, is I didn't know how important those situations were.
Okay.
In other words, I didn't even know that they were high stake.
Right. So one of the thing was that you didn't really, you had a lot of skills, but your priority wasn't correct.
I didn't understand how important.
Right.
Like,
So the priority of
is
public
that.
speaking at the top was something you didn't realize how important that
Right.
was to get to that next level, because of it increases your visibility. It shows people that you understand, even though they may not, but because they had that access, that limited access, that people were able to make that decision. Like, wow, this person really is a person who can get to the next level,
Right.
because he has the ability to communicate things in a public setting. And
They became visible
it became visible. It
to
made the
the
management
decision
comfortable.
makers. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know how public speaking helps increase visibility so that there is accessibility to the decision makers.
Okay, so that's a good story right there.
Okay. The other thing is, because I didn't think those skills were important, I have anxiety sometimes. Like if I go get into the washroom or the elevator and my boss's boss shows up, I literally don't know how to say hello. That always have a good idea in the, in ace in the hole in my pocket to present, and I've been told by my manager I'm his ace in the hole, because when the shit hits the fan, he can pull me out and I'll clean up the shit.
Right.
But I don't know how to do that for myself.
So, okay, so this is exactly what I told one of my friends, and I think what happened is that you were pigeonholed as a techie, but because of not able to, in a limited time, you had access with a decision maker, you did not convey that you were more than a techie, that you also had a lot of business acumen. You just were not able to convey that. And as a result, that's how they always viewed you.
I was pigeonholed as a female. I was pigeonholed as a techie. I was pigeonholed as a minority. So
yeah, but those things, what I'm saying is that those things, there's nothing you can do about it if that's how they're viewing it. That's something that's discrimination. Okay, that's we're not talking about discrimination. We're talking about being everything equal. If you had the public, let's assume the guys were all fair and they didn't have any discrimination against minority, women, etc.
Okay, right? Okay. You're so just saying, right? Okay, I got it.
But because see, sometimes people use that as an excuse, which there's not much you can do about it. That's something that is you can't.
Well, that's the other story.
See, that's a cultural thing. That means that you were in a place where no matter what you have done, it wouldn't have made a difference. See, but that's not what you're saying. What you're saying is that you did not get promoted. If you didn't get promoted, if you didn't get promoted because you are a woman, because you're a techie, and because you're a minority.
I don't know, right? It could be even if I'm the greatest public speaker, I may still not get promoted.
But you just said that when you had that chance to talk to them, you kind of were not able to be yourself and convey something that was outside the technical realm.
Okay, but even if I did, I may still be stunted.
But the question is, did you?
Well,
you were asking if I did, but what I'm saying, if you did that and said, listen, I was a very good communicator. I actually was, I could explain business terms in a very quick way, and I even got validation from other places. But this particular place, now I realized I wouldn't have made it because the people were never going to see me any different. They were already prejudiced in they viewed me as a techie, and I wasn't able to overcome that prejudice. If that's the case, then you were at a bad place. But if this was happening at other places, then you have to say, maybe, is there something that I am doing that I can improve upon? That's the question I'm asking.
I don't know.
I don't want this to be a therapy session.
No, I was just going to say, I don't know, but I just want you to know. It came out
because I do know in my situation, I don't want to go down that path because it's easy to do that, because I was a techie. But I know in many instances, where I had the opportunity
No,
to.
no, no. I don't want that to be in the book. I was just sharing something about myself with you.
Oh,
So
yeah,
we
yeah,
can
right,
get
right. No, no,
that out.
but that's an important thing because it doesn't have to be 100% accurate. Because, like I said, this is not about your bio, but this is some kind of narrative
Right.
that we're trying to create.
So the reason why I told you that was I always use that as an excuse. Like I didn't get promoted because I was a minority, and I didn't get promoted because I was a woman.
Right.
So it never occurred to me that there were skills I could cultivate that could take
Yeah.
me out of the ghetto of things.
I think the point that you're making is that you were quite successful in what you were doing.
I was.
I think what
Yeah.
you're saying is that you could have gotten much further
Right.
if you had that's I think the main point you're making here, because
Yes.
this is not a pity thing where, oh, I didn't accomplish it. You accomplished a lot. I think the point you're making is that if I had the public speaking in part of your tool chest, then you could have gotten much farther, but
Yes.
you didn't realize how important it was, and it's something that takes a long
Yes.
time to learn. I think that's the
That's
main.
a message. Yes,
That's the
that's the
message.
message for the forward.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
I went off topic because I wanted to share something personal with you.
So
Okay.
because I need to know exactly, so I think this session has helping me understand what is the main point. Because if the forward has to be is that something was there that now I realize it, that this is a skill that I'm now mastering, that I can now take myself, and it may not be in the business, but overall in life and in other pursuits such as coaching, etc. That this skill is very important, and that's what being on the Speech Talk Live, taking the Coursera course has allowed you to now see that unless you have that, at some point you're going to hit a wall.
Right. So exactly. So I think at least you got my story and my what the transformation.
Right. So don't go into the bio part. That's not relevant, you're saying.
I think you can give a little bit, like I was successful already, and I had
that's
my own
fine.
consulting company.
That's actually very helpful to show that you are a very successful woman, and you accomplished a lot. But at the same time, the regret you're having is that you could have gotten much further, but you just did not have this one little thing can make a big difference between a major breakthrough and not making that breakthrough.
Right.
So the breakthrough is the thing that you're saying that you did not achieve, the breakthrough that you were looking for, part of maybe it was your goal because of this one skill that.
I don't know if that's true. It's just that this could have made a difference. I don't know that honestly, Jay, I don't know that I had a goal to be successful. I don't even know that. All I know is I was pretty successful according to.
Well, I mean, you said that you were making over $300,000, right?
At the end of my career, yeah.
Well, that's pretty successful. I never made $300,000. So to me, if somebody making $300,000, how many years ago was this?
So I was in my late 40s, early 50s. It was just before I retired.
So was it what, late 90s?
Yeah, 15 years ago.
Yeah, 300,000 at that time, it would put you in the 1%
category. Yeah, because I was billing out at 125 an hour, so that's 250, and I had 3 subcontractors, and each of them was billed. I was getting about $40,000 a year, just putting them out there. So that's another 120.
Right. So you're very successful as far as that is concerned.
Yeah, I burned out. So when the contract finished, I left, and and then my husband was making so much money back then. 80% of my revenue was going into taxes.
Yeah, right. Because when your husband makes a lot, your money essentially is basically.
Because I was the second earner anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It kills you. It kills you. Sometimes it's better to just have doing something on the side and generate a new stream of revenue than to keep on working for. Okay, so I think I got the story now. Okay,
so that's a story now.
But the part that you're gonna have to add, I'll draft it. So don't think it's like this is. I'll take it and clean it up a little bit, right? And then what we'll do on Monday is try to come up with a kind of a final draft.
Okay, I will tell you, I may not be comfortable. just so you know.
Oh, no. That's what I'm saying, that this is an
Okay.
iterative process. So
Okay.
you have to, what I'll do is I will draft it, because otherwise what I'll get from you is stream of consciousness and stream of
Right.
thoughts, but that I can't turn it into paragraphs, right? And
Right.
sentences. So I get that. What I've gotten from this video is a story that I can now draft it. That thing in the beginning was just to kind of as a setup, because this is your overall philosophy about public speaking. Maybe I need to know, what is your philosophy of public speaking? Because that's what that opening paragraph was, that you see a lot of people out there that have tremendous fear when it comes to public speaking. I mean, we see this all the time in being a mentor for this Coursera course, and people who are recording that introductory video. So that was sort of like the general statement that this is something that you and I both agree. So I'm not sure, you had an issue with the opening paragraph, you said?
Yeah, I was very uncomfortable for me. So I would never start with nothing terrifies people more than giving a speech in public, because, you know,
So it's your writing style is what
yeah, why don't I do this? I know you don't like my stream of consciousness style.
No, but that first sentence, nothing terrifies. So you don't believe that's the case, or you just don't write
I don't
like
think that's what's important for me
Oh,
for this book.
okay.
So,
No, because remember, the purpose of a forward is that you have a point of view, right? There's a point of view about public speaking, and that's what I'm trying to get to. What is your point of view? When you write a forward, there has to be a point of view saying that, listen, here's my overall. It's like, so let's take a step back, okay? Let's pretend you are a reader. You just read the forward, right? What would you want the forward to get you excited about reading this book?
you know what?
Do you want somebody to just say, hey, let me just tell you about public speaking, and let me tell you what my situation is, and let me tell you how this has helped me, and if you follow this, this may help you too, like that, right? That's what I would look at the forward to kind of say to me, get me more kind of pumped up about. You're almost like an advertisement for the book. That's what it is.
Right. That's why I want to make it really, really. I want it to be so that you can really feel good about it. Let me see.
Yeah, it's almost like you kind of giving me a plug. That's what it is.
It is. I mean, it's not almost. It is.
But in a plug. But
okay. Here's a foreword by Jack Cornfield in this book called Radical Acceptance. Okay. First of all, it's just one page. He says, "You hold in your hands a beautiful invitation to remember it's possible to live your life with a wise and tender heart." Okay. And then he says, Tara Brach graciously offer healing words and blah, 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 blah. So it seems to me.
Yeah, but see, that is a professional forward that somebody has written. I'm not even sure if he's even read that book.
Okay. No. Okay. There's one by, I'm trying to.
Because one thing I always discount is when I see a forward written by somebody famous, because those are all contrived. Those are not written by them. Those are just basically written as a favor for somebody.
Yeah, in the book, I can't find the book. In the book by there's one by Search Inside Yourself. There was a forward written by this famous guy, but you can tell it was very personal. Okay, if you really want to go ahead and cut.
No. I don't want to do anything. What I'm saying is I want you to feel comfortable on what you want to say. This is not about me taking and saying, Julie, because I think the forward has to come from your heart, right? And if you think that that opening paragraph is not, then we can always come up with a different paragraph. If that's not how you want to start, that's fine. But the main message is that what I'm saying, the way I look at a forward is when somebody's reading a forward, that you're the right person to give the forward, since you've worked the most with me on this.
Yeah.
And it has to show that, listen, I'm writing this not just but I've actually gone through many of the stuff. I worked with him. I worked with him on the show. I worked with him, not in the words that I'm giving you. You can come up with better words than that. But it has to be showing that, listen, all the stuff that this book is saying, it's something I've tried, it works like that, right? So that gets people thinking like, hey, this is not some stuff that's not gonna, because there are a lot of books out there written, right? And people are always a little skeptical, like, do I really want to read this book? Is it gonna really help me? So you're kind of the person who's saying that, hey, trust me, this thing does work.
Yeah. Okay. If you want to write some stuff this weekend, go ahead. I'll meditate on it and I'll see what comes up for me.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll draft something based on, I have to review this video again, some of the things we have discussed, and I'll draft something, and if it's too, I'll cut it down. You don't want it more than 2 pages, right?
No, in fact, I think the shorter the better. But
so we can always cut down the length. Length is not. Let's start with 2 pages, and then it's easy to kill the darlings, so that's okay. But let's start with 2 pages, and then we can remove.
Okay, so Jay, this is something like how I would start was like that. Jay's book works. It works for me, or something like that.
You want to be direct.
Yeah. That's why I mean like the.
So you want to write it in a tone which is very like right in your face type of.
Well, that's what it feels like now. I think I really need to meditate. If you don't mind, send me this video. I'll watch the end of it. I'll really meditate on it. Because sometimes when something I work on, I do an outline that's like a pictorial outline, like a picture outline, to know what's important and get to the heart of it.
Okay, so let me do this. I don't want to create a lot of work for you since you're doing me a favor here.
No, I'm not doing you a favor. I feel very honored to do this.
I'll put a draft, some kind of draft, so you have something to work with.
I won't work with your draft.
Oh, okay.
If you want to do it so you're comfortable when we get together, that's fine. I have to, like you said, I have to pull it from my heart.
Oh, okay.
So the way I pull it from my heart is I don't even do an outline. I'm doing a brain map. What do you call it? A brain map.
Brain map. Okay.
A brain. I think it's called like a brain.
Oh.
It's a map, some kind of a map. Concept map.
Mind map.
Mind map. I do a mind map and then I organize it.
Right.
So this is, for some reason, this is very important to me too. So I really appreciate you asking me to do it, and I feel honored, and I really appreciate you working with me to get it done. So
right.
I just
because I don't want this to turn. I don't want this to turn into a major project for you.
No, it won't. It won't.
Okay.
I promise.
All right. So that's what I'll do. I will. I think I got enough watching this video. I think it'll give me a better idea on what the narrative is. And I think what you're saying is that you need to feel comfortable that this is the way I would say it if I had to do it. And that's what I'm trying to get to. That's why this video was important. I wanted you to say exactly what you want to say. So I'm not
right.
Massaging your words. So maybe what we'll do is I'll draft something and you can take a look at it. And then Monday what you can do is take a look and then just say it exactly how you want to say it. And maybe we'll have to go through another iteration after that.
Yeah. But it's getting there. Thank you very much. This was very powerful.
Okay. Anything else that you wanted to cover? So
I have 2 points of advice for you in the Speech Talk Live that will make you much more powerful, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
One is the same thing I noticed and I stopped is I don't look at people when I talk on the video. So if you notice now, I really look at the video and look at people when I talk, even when I'm here. The second thing is I used to not look at you when you're talking, so I was scattered, but now I just sit here and watch you. Right. So the thing I notice when I watch you is you don't have eye contact. You are a visualizer thinker.
No, when I'm talking or when I'm listening?
When you're talking.
I'm not looking at the camera?
You're not looking at me.
Oh, no. Because I'm not looking at, when I say you means I have to look at the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know why? You know why? Because I'm looking at the screen. That's the thing.
Yeah, you're looking down instead of looking at me. You should be looking at my forehead.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with I'm not looking. That's just the technology because what's happening is my camera is above the screen.
But you
So
have to look at me, so I know you're looking at me.
right. So then what happens is if I look it up, if like I'm looking at the camera right now, so you'll probably think I'm looking at you. But what happens
Right.
then is that I can't see you now. See? So I'm just looking
You're
at
gonna
the camera.
fix that.
I,
The,
I need a better technology.
the second thing is no, but sometimes when you're thinking as you're talking, which is what this is. I will see you're a visualizer thinker. You'll go to the right top of your brain. Right there, and you can see yourself. But the last 3 minutes, you really were looking at me.
Oh, okay.
So you can tell the difference.
Yeah, but when I am conscious of it, that hey, I need to look at Julie. Because see, the problem is this. This is nothing to
Where's
do
your
with
camera?
my camera is above it. That's the thing.
What kind of camera do you have?
It's a separate camera. I don't use the camera. That's see if it was on the computer screen. Actually, the camera should be right, like when I'm pointing right to my head. That way it would look like but that's not where the camera can be because that's the screen. So this is a technology issue, not necessarily that I'm not looking at you, because when I'm looking at the screen, then you think I'm not looking at you because my camera is above it. But it's a point well taken. I have to just
because this is your body of work to say you're a good coach, so you want to model that.
Right.
The other thing is, as I do that too, and I'm going to try to use the same thing for myself, is you tend to meander. You start a topic and you meander all over it.
Right.
So my suggestion is, say, I have this one point to make, and then just make this one point. Right. And that's it. Right. And also, I have 2 points to make, and just make those 2 points.
Right. Yeah, because, I have to be careful.
Because when you meander, people get very agitated because they don't know when you're going to finish talking, so they're just not going to pay attention. Right.
Yeah, today we were kind of loose on the time limit, but I think if we have to tighten up, because we kind of run this kind of little loosely structured, because we're not trying to like saying okay everything. We're not trying to run it like it's like a studio, right? Like they have to stop after every 5 minutes for a commercial, right? So they are and sometimes I don't watch them because there's just nothing there to like really watch. They don't. Right. I like it because have you ever listened to this this podcast by this woman named Krista Tippett? It's called On Being.
No.
On Being. She does a very good job.
Yes, my friend watches that. I had to find it.
Krista, her name, it's on iTunes, Krista Tippett, and the podcast is called On Being, and what she does is kind of interesting. She has 2 versions of it. One is one that she has to come in under 1 hour, and there's like music and all kinds of production value there. Then she does unabridged, or whatever she call it, unedited. I think she calls it unedited. That usually goes on for about 1.5 hours. And the one that I find very useful is the unedited one. Because I don't care about all this music and all that. I just want to hear her talk and see I just want the flow of the conversation, because she's such a great at conversation, that woman, Krista Tippett, that I want to get every ounce of how the conversation starts, how she transitions. I don't want it to be edited out of the important points. And that is what I like really get into. And she just recently was on this show, and this guy said the same thing. That she was kind of surprised. Said, "Oh, really? You listened to my unedited version?" And he said, "Yeah, that's what I really want to get out of it. I don't want to listen to the edited version." So this is sort of like our unedited version. So here's what would happen if I were to take this and make it into a production. Then I would cut out all this lot of the stuff that we talk about.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So what we're doing is sort of like the unedited. At some point, we'll have a budget and somebody can go in and edit a lot of the stuff out, and it'll look like, wow, these guys are so crisp. But that's not what we're trying to do. So.
Okay, I didn't realize that because.
But still, I get your point that still we cannot just meander on points. So your point is well taken. But what I'm saying on this show, we're not really worrying about that, because we're not doing. If I was editing it out, those things can all be edited out. Because every time you, like, for example, when you watch 60 Minutes, right? The part they use is so limited. The actual interviews they do could be for like an hour. And I remember one time this Prime Minister of Israel, Menachem Begin, he said, "Look, I'll come on, I'll do the show, but you can't edit it out." And that's problematic for many of these, because they want to ask more questions than they're ever going to use. And now with social media, what they do is they'll edit it out, and the unedited part appears on social media.
Well, okay, I understand what you're saying, that you want a more conversational and loose, but still, this is your body of work.
Yeah, right.
So you still want people to know you're staying on point.
Yeah, right.
So,
but at the same time, I see your point, but at the same time, I'm kind of torn between two. In one sense, I completely agree with you, but what I also have a difficulty is that I don't want, sometimes the best part of any conversation doesn't happen in the beginning, it comes at the end, when there's already been give and take going. Like sometimes what happens with us is, and it's kind of happening right now, that once you say something, you just suddenly get me to think about way.
But the problem with that is, since we're still staying in the 1 hour limit, is I feel like I have to squeeze in. So you'll notice in this one, I only spend like 2 or 3 minutes in responding because of the time. So I don't know how to handle that. I understand what you're saying, so we need to think about that.
No, if you have something to say, then just say it, because sometimes I want to know how you're thinking.
Yeah, but then we'll never get the program done within the segment. Would you be willing to say at the hour we'll just finish that segment and miss out a segment?
You just take off your earpiece and just walk out, and then you're done. Jay, that's it. My husband's calling.
Okay.
The show has to end now.
Okay, let's experiment with that. I like that. I think
the show is over. My husband's calling me. I got to do something. I got to go for an art class or something. And at that point, I guess the show is over.
Okay, I don't want to be disrespectful.
No. I completely understand it, but I think a lot of times the reason I'm kind of a little hesitant in what you're saying is because that means that I'm so good, that I am so perfect, that I can squeeze in the main ideas in the limited amount of time that I have. Right. And what I'm saying is that we kind of, ours is sort of improvisation. A lot of it is improvised speaking, improvised thinking. And a lot of times I don't know how I'm going to think, because if I was just, like, for example, if you notice that when I record a video on my own, they do come in under certain time limit. But when you are speaking, suddenly that interaction means that suddenly you're bringing your something. If, in fact, the way I look at it is if a segment is going longer, that means that was a good segment. That means there was a lot of thinking that was going on.
Okay.
Interactively.
I will, because I've been doing the opposite. I've been thinking, okay, I have 3 minutes. I'm going to get my point across in 3 minutes, right?
Because I thought you were going to say just the opposite. I thought you were going to say, Jay, I really like that your listening skills, because there are certain things that I mentioned and then you took it and expanded upon it further, which would show that I'm actually paying attention to what you're saying and I'm adding more to it. Like, for example, in the beginning, when you talked about the setting goal, practicing.
Yes.
And I took each one of them and expanded a little bit on each one of those to say that, hey, listen, you got me to think about this. So that's the kind of thing that if I could have easily not done anything with it, I could have just said, we got to meet under this time limit. I better just move on to then it looks like the show is too scripted. And I don't want our show to appear like it's too scripted.
Okay.
Right?
You may find that I have a lot to say, and we may just stay on one segment.
No, that's fine.
Let's experiment. I'm totally
at some point we do have to move on. But then the thing is, like you said, that Jay, should I say more or should we move on? Like that way.
Okay.
Why don't you make your point quickly? That way you kind of prodding me that, hey, it's time, maybe we should move on to another. But the thing is that you don't want to lose that thought, because that thought has to get into it. Otherwise, it'll never appear anywhere. And,
okay, I'm not going to drive the time. I'm just going to let you drive the time, and we'll see where we end up. That's a great experiment.
Yeah, because I think you have a lot of experience, and I have a lot of experience, and a lot of the segments that we use are just sort of like, here's what we want to talk about. But then what follows after that is not scripted. That's where we are bringing our. And if somebody's watching it, they would prefer us to be interacting more than to just say your part, I say my part, and we end the segment. I think people will eventually find that boring if they're watching it. At least I would find it boring. So.
Well, I love it. I'm so glad we had this conversation. I think it's great.
Okay. All right.
you.
So one last thing before I let you go. So I am currently. So here's the book, by the way. So if you want to know what the book looks like.
Oh yeah, I haven't looked at it yet.
So this is what it looks like.
Oh my God.
This is what it looks like.
I'm going to finish the foreword, then I'll look at the book. Okay?
Yeah, just focus on the forward. I've been currently going through all the parts, and having it printed out really makes a big difference. So
yeah.
I will go through that. And just so you know, I sent this guy, Michael Port, a message to see whether he would be interested in giving me a blurb. So I'll see what
great.
And once I get through the fourth segment, I want to send it to, well, I'm not going to send the book to them. I'm going to first ask Amy and Dr. McGarity if they would be interested in taking a look at it, rather than just sending them a PDF like that.
Yeah.
I think the Coursera's blurb will be important. And also if I can
Yes.
get Dr. McGarity, that would help a lot.
Yes, that's great.
Okay. Anything else?
I think today I really appreciate our discussion on your idea how the show should run, because I think I've been unnecessarily stressing on it. So thank you.
Yeah, so basically a lot of it is prepared. I would say about 50% is prepared and 50% is improvised.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was just running on different assumptions, so I'm glad that we talked about it.
No,
So
otherwise you wouldn't be adding much value if it was just like that. Like you come and do your part, I come and do my part. This is all about us thinking. Part of it is thinking, right? Because a lot of it is without interacting, you can't think.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, Julie. Hey, thanks a lot for your help, and
Thank you.
and again adjusting your time schedule to make this happen today. Okay.
Yeah, thank you too.
Okay. Bye.
Great day. Bye.